Shalita Grant played defense attorney Cassidy Diamond in the third season of the satire Search Party on HBO Max, and I'm Riley Chow. Do you remember what scene you auditioned with?
Yes, actually, the audition was the opening monologue,
Hmm.
the opening statement. So yeah, they went right into the middle of the water for that audition. So it's funny. It's actually Cassidy Diamond was a recast. So they had already had someone in the role and had shot like a few days with this person, and it wasn't really working out. So they had to go back to the drawing board and get like different talent. So when I found out that it was a recast, I mean, when I read the breakdown, I was like, I don't think they're going to pick me. Vocal fry, I was like, no, I don't think they're going to pick me. I think they're going to pick someone else. But then when I found out that it was a recast, I was like, you know what? It may just be the best lady wins. So when I saw the vocal fry, I also took in, to account like who I am and how I present as a Black woman. And I was like, if she has one vocal tic, why can't she have several vocal tics? So not only did I fulfilled what I needed for the producers with the vocal fry, but I mean, she had like tongue clicks. I went to Juilliard and we study voice for 4 years using Edith Skinner's Speak with Distinction. And I would call it Speak with Distinction just to piss off my teachers. But in the Speak with Distinction, you would be surprised at how many words we mispronounce according to linguists. So a word like circumstance or circumstances, we were taught circumstances. So there are things that I have from my training, like weird pronunciations of words that we know. And also, Shakespeare, because of the iambic pentameter, a lot of the words will change how they sound to fit the pentameter. So yeah, she had vocal clicks, and she also had these very strange pronunciations of words like defendant and, like just really stressing in weird places. So yeah, I got the audition, but I was like, I think I can see their vocal fry and raise them a bunch of like joy and fabulousness.
Are you telling us that some of the words that she's saying, so strangely, that's actually the correct pronunciation?
Now, I wouldn't go that far. Actually, I wouldn't go that far. But a word like defendant, I think there's a Shakespeare line or something that we say defendant. Where the stress ends, depends on the meter, right? So no, I would never go out on a limb and say Cassidy's 100% correct.
So since it was a recast, what did they tell you about like what wasn't working, what they didn't want to see in your performance?
That it was because of a word of, the vocal fry, right? There is a connotation, right? A feeling and there is a person that comes to mind, and there's also a judgment that comes with that person, right? And so, and this is something, I was talking about this the other day. In my training, my teachers, they had this thing that they would say, which is like, kill your babies, right? Kill your babies. And what does that mean? That means like when you're memorizing something or, when you're doing comedy, right? A lot of times there are things that your shtick, like your thing, right? That's your baby. So I grew up in my training being told to kill that thing you love, kill it on the floor, and we never want to see it again. Like it's all about being present and getting it real, right? So the problem was that the person saw the vocal fry and thought that it should be played without as much depth or real, that there was no real intention. It was just someone. and a voice that annoying. I mean, if it's not coming from a real place, you want to just like, come on, like shoot me in the head already. But, you know, they're in the courtroom. So there's like so much that Cassidy has to do in season 3. You know, most of the end of the season is in the court, and there's so much time per episode in the courtroom. So if you have someone with a vocal fry who isn't really playing anything like deeply, it makes the whole thing flat. So that was sort of the issue.
Did you study like how lawyers act in real courtrooms at all, with something this exaggerated?
No, Riley, no. See, in America, we have what the writers at South Park call murder porn. And it's everywhere. We've got whole channels dedicated to murder and court. And I did a procedural, and we have all these like courtroom procedurals. So what I loved about Search Party, like when I got the audition, I didn't know the show because it wasn't super well marketed. And then I was like, I'll watch like an episode or two, you know, just to get in the, and I binged the whole thing because it was so good. But what I love about the writers is that they are able to really produce genuine good satire, in that it's really rooted in truth and in the truth that how we all understand, you know, how court happens, right? And turning it on its head and showing us ourselves like how ridiculous this thing is. So no, I didn't study lawyers. I didn't think it was necessary, especially because it was Cassidy's first time. And I think that she probably didn't either, you know?
Do you think you'll be in season 5 at all?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think Cassidy's part, and this is the other thing about Search Party, is that like, you know, it's themed. So season 3, we were in court. We were doing courtroom drama. Season 4 was like hostage taken, you know, and season 5, they're going to fuck with another aspect of our culture, you know? So I think Cassidy is retired in the Dory Seif world.
We're coming up on the Emmys. You'll be on the ballot for Guest Actress in a Comedy Series. Do you know what episode is going to be attached to your name on the ballot?
Yeah, actually, the opening statement episode, I believe it's episode 6. Yeah, I think that one was really solid for me, in that it's a good microcosm of all of the work that I do, you know, before the episode and after. But that opening statement is, I think it's one of the things that people tweet me the most about, besides a spinoff with Michaela and I. They're always like, that opening statement. I get lawyers that tweet at me about the opening statement. So yeah, that'll be the one.
Who did you find you learned the most from, or just had the most fun watching in those courtroom scenes?
I had the most fun with Michaela. She's crazy. She's crazy the way I'm crazy. Like, we're just two broads who are very open, super open, show up to work, no idea what's going to happen, but we're down for it, you know? And she was actually hurt when she first showed up. She was bitten by a coyote. She lives up in Ojai, and you know, a coyote was in her yard and her dogs, and she tried to separate them and got bit, and you know, had to get the surgery and everything. So her energy the first like day or two, you know, she was on an IV drip. It was like, you know, like, okay. But I could tell that our first scene together was actually the opening statement scene. And then after that, she was just like, okay, baby, I am ready to play. And you know, Riley, they kept a lot of our ad libs between Michaela and I, because they were so rooted in the moment and really fucking funny. But I genuinely enjoyed watching an actress who's had so much experience in all of these different, you know, genres, but mainly comedy, and, you know, her stint on SNL and everything. So yeah, she was my shining star.
Do you have any ad libs that you want to claim?
Oh my God, Baby Blue Realness. That was me. Oh my God, there were so many. That's the first one that comes to mind. I don't want to spend too much time thinking.
I imagine that it's hard to recall them too, since you shot this like almost 3 years ago.
3 years ago, Riley. Thank you for that grace. Thank you. I needed that. Thank you.
Yeah. So before this, you had done a procedural, then you kind of moved on to sitcoms. You had been on stage before. Where do you see yourself going now?
Honestly, the conversations that I'm having now, Riley, are that I need to just be doing comedy. Like, we work when you're doing like film and TV, a 10-hour day is a holiday. Like, you don't see those days often if you're on a single cam show, comedy or drama. So you're working 14 to 16 hours generally with a bunch of strangers who have like a lot going on in their lives. So doing a show that I don't believe in or is super heavy emotionally for that amount of time, my body doesn't really realize that I'm acting. So sometimes, like, I'm doing a show now called You on Netflix. And there are moments where, I'm like, oh my God, like my body, like, girl, you're acting, but my body is just like so in it. And that's too much. So I see myself primarily doing single cam comedy. I just want to make people laugh, make myself laugh.
Yeah, what can you tell us about what you're bringing to you?
Oh my God. Riley,
Yes.
tell you this, okay? I want you to know this, and I want Emmy voters to know this. First things first, if anybody's feeling a little sad during this pandemic, we all got something. You know what I mean? We all kind of went through. If you're feeling a little sad, I really do think, and I think you would back me up on this, that watching season 3 of Search Party will actually give people genuine belly laughs. So don't miss it. Like, you really should watch it. And the second thing I want you to know, Riley, is that if they don't watch it, they're going to feel super left out because Cassidy Diamond walked so Sherry Conrad could run. Okay. Like, the things that go on in season 3 of You around Sherry and Carrie, buck wild. And that's all I'm going to tell you, my friend.
I was wondering how that was going to come back around.
Yep. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. Okay, so with your training at Juilliard, when you get a character like Cassidy, what's the first thing that you do in terms of breaking down the script and that kind of thing?
Okay, so you want to talk about the process, eh? Okay, all right, we'll talk about the process. Um, so the first thing I do is I look at what everybody's saying about my character. So this is how I build a character, a distinct character, one from another. I look at 3 things. What do the producers say about the character? Where do I find that? In the stage directions, how the character is introduced, and also what they say in the breakdown for the audition. The second thing I look at is, what do other characters say about my character? So where do I find that? In the dialogue. What literally are the other characters saying? Is she a crazy bitch? Is she a, humble Mormon? Is she, whatever? I write those things down. And then I ask, what does my character say about herself? And so I go through my own dialogue. Oh my God, I'm terrible. I'm such a good mom. I'm such a bad mom. I'm whatever. So that all of that information shapes a person, right? So when I have that, I'm able to stand firmly in the perspective of this person in this world, right? And the second thing you should know about me in the work of it when it comes to camera, I never know my lines. I don't learn them. I don't learn them the night before. I don't learn them the morning of. I learn them probably about 10 minutes before we go up. And the reason for this is a few things. Number one, when you're doing TV and film, it is not uncommon to get a new grip of pages and a speech that you have to say 6 different ways, like by rote, in like 30 minutes. Like, we start in like 30. I need you to put this in your brain and like make it emotional. Right. So if I spent 40 minutes or however much time the night before, and I have that happen, well, I'm going to feel resentment, a little anxiety. So if I'm already walking in, like, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen, there's no space for that. It's just like, you just go with the flow. The other thing is, it causes me to listen in a very specific way. First, I'm listening for my cue lines because I don't know my lines. So I'm holding on to my, fellow actor, like, getting to the end of their line and me like being able to suss out, I think they're about done. The second thing that I'm listening for is the connotation. Like, what is the other actor connoting to me with how they're doing it, right? And the third thing I'm listening for is, what does my character like? Like, what would my character like or dislike, depending on the tone of the scene. So when I'm watching my fellow actor, I'm really fucking playing. Like, that's why I got to do comedy, because I like to play. All I want to do is play and laugh. So I'm listening to them and I'm watching them and I'm like, oh, I like that. Okay, so this is where we're going to go. And I follow my scene partners, and I'm able to do that sort of, I can go where you go because I'm not committed to a performance of my own. Like, I'm not precious about my own work and my own words. I'm really trying to be as present so that I can give a real, genuine reaction and response. Now, it's a tightrope that I walk, I know, but I'm gifted in that I can look at a page and I've like photographic memory. So I look at it and I memorize how the words are shaped on the page. And then when you do rehearsal, you have to like walk around. So in theater, my theater training, when you're doing the same play for weeks, it's like, oh, when I walk over here, I say this. When I walk over here, I say this. And so I just apply that same principle in rehearsal for TV and film, which is like usually 5 minutes. I'm like, all right, when I say over here, I'm like, the man. And then I'm over here and I'm like, kill that woman and, whatever. So from the middle space, can you remember what that sentence kind of structure kind of looked like? And I fill it in. And it also allows me to improv as well. Like, I'm open and I'm just genuinely responding to the moment. So those, good improvs are giving my producers the things that they didn't even know that they wanted, but they did, So that's how I work.
All right. Yeah, now we know. Okay, Shalita, well, thanks very much for chatting with Gold Derby.
Thank you.